Shalom, everybody. This is your very joyous Rabbi Ephraim Buchwald, preparing for Purim, which will be observed tomorrow night. That's Wednesday, March 7th, and Thursday, the 8th. Now, I'm not one of these guys who believes in this voodoo or Kabbalistic stuff, but there's something about the Megillah, the story of Esther, that really blew me away, and I'd like to share it with you. In order to understand this, you're going to have to take a look at the actual text of the scroll of Esther. And this is the part where Haman has already been killed, and now his sons are also killed. And they list the names of the 10 sons of Haman. And then after that, Esther says to King Ahasuerus, could you do me a favor? Now that the 10 sons are dead, could you hang them also? Which is weird. But there's also something else that's weird. In the text itself, you'll see that there are 3 diminutive, tiny little letters in the names of Haman's 10 sons. Parshandata has a small tuf, Parmashta has a small shin, and Vayazata has a small zayin. Tuf, shin, zayin. Those letters in the Hebrew alphabet, according to numerology, are equal to 707. Now, you remember there used to be a Boeing 707 jet? But nobody really knows why those letters are tiny in the text. Well, here we are, thousands and thousands of years later, and someone has come up with the following theory. You know that the Nuremberg Trials after World War II, there were actually 12 Nazi criminals who were judged, and 2 of them died before they were ever put to death. And Göring also committed suicide before he was hanged. Okay? Now, there were 10 Nazi war criminals that were waiting to be punished. And the execution was postponed and postponed and postponed. And they were actually executed on October 16th, 1946. October 16th, 1946 is actually the Hebrew calendar date of the festival of Hoshana Rabbah. It's one of the final days of Sukkot, where the whole world is judged. The whole world is judged on Hoshana Rabbah. So on Hoshana Rabbah, they executed the 10 Nazi war criminals. Okay. Now, what does 707 have to do with this? 707, if you add the year 5,707, that was 1946. So what they say that this was perhaps an allusion to the 10 Nazi war criminals that were going to be executed thousands and thousands of years ahead. Okay, nice story, but listen to what the news write-up says. The guards had at last got Streicher, that was one of the Nazi war criminals, into his clothes. His hands bound behind him, he was trundled over to number 1 scaffold. Once there, he turned and screamed, Heil Hitler. The lieutenant colonel snapped out, asked the man his name. Streicher, eyes blazing, spat back at the interpreter. You know my name very well. The man whose very title had spelled out persecution and massacre for thousands now had a hood over his head, the rope about his neck, guided up toward the gallows by a priest. He yelled through the black cloth. Now listen to what Streicher's last words were. Purim feast 1946, a reference to the Jew baiter of the 5th century who was hanged. Wow. So we don't know why there were those 3 little letters, but it could be an allusion to 5707 and October 16th, 1946, when the 10 Nazi war criminals were hanged. Well, that's not a nice way to begin Purim, but I want to wish you a very, very, very happy Purim.